Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Martin.
I have some questions for you regarding Juneteenth.
Oh, excellent. Let's talk.
So, first and foremost, what has Juneteenth meant in your life?
Well, I mean, man, since the announcement of the official national holiday a few years back, um, it's been personally for our family, it's been an incredible opportunity to have a celebration and, unite and party and come together and it's summer here in Seattle, right? So the sun's out and we're grilling and we're having a good old time. Personally, it's definitely meant something to us and um, how we gather. But then on larger scale, it has a much deeper meaning, and I was very excited when Juneteenth became an official American holiday, right? Um,
Awesome. Did your family do anything prior to it becoming an official American holiday?
Not a lot. I mean, we still celebrated. We gathered. We talked about it, but we did not extend the invitations to come together and party in the way that we have since it's become a national holiday.
Okay, awesome. Now, I've heard you frame Juneteenth as a great American holiday. Can you please explain why you think Juneteenth is a great American holiday for all
Mhm.
Americans?
Yeah, absolutely. Several reasons. The first one is, there really there's very few really tremendously significant moments in our country's history just because we're young, right? There's lots of things that have happened, but if we had to boil down some of the most pivotal moments in our history, we could probably do it in, you know, six or seven different things. In my opinion, the end of the Civil War, the end of slavery, was the second, only to us uh, gaining our independence and becoming a nation. So, and from my perspective, Juneteenth is an opportunity for all Americans to recognize the end of an era, the end of a uh, devastatingly brutal economic system in which led us to a state of economic independence and superiority in the world, I should say. It is the end of kind of or I should say, it was the beginning of our transition into the industrial age, the end of the kind of agrarian era. It was the first time um, that all Americans, could um, at least you'd be united in this idea that now we are no longer governed by the forced slave labor in order to drive our economic engine. And I see Juneteenth as a beautiful chance for all Americans to say, look, you know what? All of us are so much better off because slavery ended. Okay. There's not a single American that can argue effectively, I believe, that they would be better off if it had continued. That the Civil War, if the Civil War had continued and if slavery had continued. Right? We live in an interconnected society. Okay. We do not exist in a vacuum. Everything that we get the chance to experience and participate now has been because of all of the things that have led us here. So if you've had right, if we've benefited from uh, transportation and education and entertainment and the sciences and medicine and the arts, and you go on and on and on. Well, guess what? It's because slavery ended. Black Americans have participated in every aspect of our society and our economy. And it's because slavery ended that they were able to contribute in the way that they did. So I hear this argument a lot, like, or I don't know about it's an argument, but it's just even a question is like, okay, well, can white Americans, participate in Juneteenth? Can we celebrate the way that Black Americans should, or is this just a Black American? Like, is this a holiday for Black people? No, this is an American holiday. Okay, this is not to say that this is only a holiday for Black people means that only Black people are benefiting from the fact that slavery was over. We all have benefited. We've all grown. We have become an incredible nation. And yes, okay, and there's so many areas where we could have been better. We can be better. Yes, it's sad that it took them that long to get to Galveston. You know, yes, slavery continued in many areas, of the South, in which many of the folks who maintains, power still, wouldn't allow, you know, Black people to travel freely. We know what happened in the transition to after Reconstruction and Jim Crow. Yes, there's a million things that we know could have been better. And guess what? We now have an opportunity to unite under the auspices of the end of a brutal era in our history, and the transition into a new one. You know, I'm just a little bit tired of people finding reasons for conflict and to argue and to divide. I mean, I'm just tired of it. It has been in front of our faces every day for definitely the last 10 years, and much more so even before that, especially with the dawn of social media. So, to me, people who complain about Juneteenth for any reason, um, you need to find something better to do. I'm sorry. This is once again, this is an opportunity to celebrate. Just celebrate. Are we a better America because slavery is over? Just ask yourself that question. Is your life better? If you can't answer that question, then yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know how to help you. No matter who you are. And I don't care if you vote red, if you vote blue, I don't care where you live in this country. If you can't honestly answer the question, if your life would be better, or if your life would be better, but if slavery had continued, or if the Civil War had continued, then you just haven't paid attention to history.
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of answered my question. As soon as you answered, you reminded me what I wanted to say. How would you tie in the celebration of Juneteenth, the Juneteenth holiday? How do you connect that to human solidarity, to both collective human solidarity and also to, excuse me, both to collective human solidarity, but also to self solidarity? How do you connect Juneteenth to either or both of those things?
Yeah. Well, I guess the easy one is human solidarity for me. Um, you know, I like holidays. I think that they're an opportunity for communities and societies to share tradition, share history, share culture, share food, share joy. And I think this is an opportunity to share all of those things around a very difficult topic that people often even still struggle with, and that we have not yet overcome all of the impacts from. So, in my mind, this is a powerful step forward for us to acknowledge that something that was, a part of our history that did shape the country that we are, today in so many ways. Um, that we overcame. We ended it. We overcame a system that no longer worked for us, and we transitioned into a new one, and thus became a new society. It was a new dawn, new step forward. Like I said, we've had a few of those, but so in my mind, this is a tradition of unity, of an opportunity to come together as one America, that overcame this part of our history, right? And I think self solidarity, when I think about self solidarity, um, I tend to think about how can I become more connected to self, meaning all parts of myself. So, are there aspects of myself that I ignore, or that I try to that I'm afraid of? Are there insecurities that I have that um, I haven't worked through yet? So in my mind, having the opportunity to engage with some of those in relationship to the meaning behind Juneteenth and the history of Juneteenth, and how some of that meaning has impacted my life, particularly if there's areas there where it's negatively impacted my life. Right, it's an opportunity for me to start to work through those, and challenge some of those ideas.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. I'm going to add in here too, DJ, and I'm going to add in, and I'm going to say this. One of the ways that that I believe that celebrating Juneteenth as you present it, which I think is an amazing way that you present it, celebrating Juneteenth is the way that you present it. I think it leads to self solidarity, which we define as like reestablishing shared trust and lasting connection with yourself, right? So you mentioned earlier, like white folks say, I don't know, am I allowed to celebrate this? Not just because of like it's a black person's holiday, but also if you do know the nuances, if you do know what you talked about, how long it took them to get to Galveston, if you do know the sharecropping was still a type of slavery, if you do know all these things as a white person and you see yourself as a good white person, as an ally, anti-racist white person, whatever, if you see that, a lot of times you have a tendency to get up in your head, like what's okay and what's not okay for me. And one of the things that I hear you saying, which is really beautiful, is this ties into self-solidarity because you're giving, now obviously it's just you, it's not the whole, you're not speaking for every black person in America, but you're giving explicit permission for people to get out of their heads and just celebrate something, which is really a great thing, which is that slavery officially ended in this country. Period,
Period.
without the nuances. Because, like I said, we can get up in that, we can get up on our heads. Galveston, 13th Amendment, and slavery still being allowed in prison. For people convicted of a felony, we can obsess on those things and we can make it question ourselves. But in order to trust ourselves again, this is a pathway that oftentimes I don't think white people that work in the areas of racism really think about. This is a pathway for us to forgive ourselves and to let ourselves be okay making mistakes, but to get out of our head and to try to be perfect in every aspect of how we relate to folks, what we can and can't say, what we can and can't celebrate. So to me, this is a great opportunity to get out of your head and be in solidarity with yourself.
No doubt. No doubt. I love that. I would love to see. a country in which every American took as much pride in this holiday as they did in July 4th. Because we absolutely would not be who we are, period, not even a little bit, if if it wasn't for the end of the Civil War, the end of slavery. And that's what, in my mind, that's what this signifies.
Um, can you think of anything else that you want to say? Or do you feel like you've said everything that's on your heart and your mind
Um,
about this?
no, I mean, the only other thing is just that, I would love to see collectively that people stop looking for ways to divide. Let's look for ways to unite and connect. You know, there's enough in our media, there's enough in the paper, there's enough in our conversations in our schools, all there there's enough opportunity to divide and to drown in conflict, and this kind of a celebration, this kind of a holiday does not need to be one of those.
Beautifully said.